Alright boys, welcome back to the channel. And I know that I haven't posted anything in the last few days because I've been doing a few things with the car. And I actually did a video chat with Tracy over the weekend. And actually, was it yesterday or was it the day before yesterday? I can't remember. I believe it was yesterday. So we did a video chat, and it was actually his first time ever seeing Prime up close and personal, with the engine bay exposed and all that stuff. Like, the engine cover is removed. It's right over there on that side by that wall right there. And then the radiator cover is on the ground. That's all the stuff that makes it look pretty under the engine bay. And then my strut bar, my tower brace is on the ground too. That says "more than meets the eye." And the moment, see, like you can see from right here, there's nothing pretty going on right now. You know, I like how it's like, it's not like, because normally when I put that white cover on, it'll just, you know, put all the attention right there. I like how it's not doing that right now. I wouldn't mind if that cover was like black or something like that with some LEDs. I think that would have looked really cool. But at the same time, I do like that because I want people to see where it says "more than meets the eye." So anyway, first things first, man. As soon as I opened my hood, literally Tracy looked at it and he was like, within seconds, he looked at it and was like, "I already found your problem." I was like, "What?" Like, I didn't even pull up anything yet. Like, I didn't point at anything. I didn't say, "What does this look like?" or "What does that look like?" And the moment he saw it, he was like, "I already found your problem." So let me show you guys what he noticed. Now, bear with me because he told me right away what to do on how we could fix the situation. And believe it or not, this entire time that I've had an oil leak, I got an oil leak about 6 months after my supercharger was installed. And I always wondered, why do I have an oil leak? Like, I don't know anybody else that puts superchargers in their car and then all of a sudden they get an oil leak. Why am I the only one getting an oil leak? And then somebody said, "Well, that's what happens when you modify your car, bro. Once you throw a supercharger in, it's gonna happen. It's a lot of pressure." Okay, I get that, but I'm not putting down those kind of numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it if I was like The Exorcist or something like that, or, you know, like 1200 horsepower, 1500 horsepower, like some of these guys to the wheel. Like, I get it if I was doing those kind of numbers. I'm not even half of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not half of 1200. That would make me 600 wheel. That would be like 7 something crank. Like, I'm not pushing those numbers. So why is it doing that, right? The moment Tracy looked at it when I popped the hood, which I'm going to show you guys here in a second, he said, "This is the reason why you've even had this entire time you've had an oil leak." He also mentioned and said, "I am surprised that your motor lasted this long," because I've had the supercharger on here for about 2.5 years, guys. I've had it on here for about 2.5 years, and believe me, I've done some really big nasty burnouts. They'll tell me, "Yo, Dilla, light them up," and I'm like, dude, like, I just bought these tires. They're $1,000 tires, you know, because they're wide in the back. They're 345s. Light them up, bro. So man, I didn't just light them up. Like, I left my mark. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I don't like doing burnouts, because when I do burnouts, I do them major. Then the tires are gone, and I'm like, dude, that burnout just cost me $1,000. Either way, as soon as he saw it, he's like, "What this is supposed to be doing is not leaking because of that problem." But because that problem is on there that we noticed, and I know you guys are getting anxious to see what it is, I just want to explain it to you guys first so I can paint that overall picture. And then when I pop the hood open, pop the hood? Pop the hood. When I pop the hood open, then you're going to see exactly what I mean. So bear with me once again. I don't remember exactly what direction he said to install it 100%. I kind of have an overview. Maybe you guys can guide me. But soon as he sent out the package already on Friday. Yeah, it was Friday when I talked to him. He sent out the package on Friday, and it should be here by Monday or Tuesday, so that way we can redo the install. Enough talking. Let me show you guys what I found. All I did was, when I popped the hood, soon as I had it right here, wait, I don't want this to drip. I gotta put a towel right here. I don't want it to drip on my wrap. When it splashed, it went through these little vents right here, right? So it went through there. So every now and then it'll just make its way to the middle and it'll drip. So as soon as the car is running good to go, hopefully this week we're gonna fire it up. Then I'm gonna take it back outside over here in the rocks, and then I'm just gonna clean the entire engine bay. I'm gonna pressure wash all this area, you know, and just clean all this thing down. You know what I mean? This has never been cleaned before. Like, it's always been covered with all the pretty stuff on top of it, but I'm just gonna clean it just for the sake of it. As soon as he saw it, he goes, "Walk me over to your catch can." And I said, "Okay." Which, by the thumbnail, you guys could probably tell where I'm going with this. He says, "Walk me over to your catch can." I said, "Okay." He looked at the catch can, and there's valves on the catch can. There's a valve right here. There's a valve right here, right? That connects to the top of the manifold, and it goes to the catch can. And then there's one that breaks off right here under the catch can. You see it? That line goes all the way around down to the bottom of the intake, where the air intake is, and the filter. The air filter is down there in the corner of the bumper. He said, okay, where does this middle hose go to? Because as you can notice, when they installed it, they didn't push this all the way, number one, which nothing happens, but I'm not a fan of that. I want that nice and clean, you know? So we're gonna get a new hose coming in, so I'm gonna make sure I push it all the way through. And then anytime I've gone to change out my, check my oil in here in the catch can, it was always empty. And if you guys don't know what a catch can does, it picks up all the carbs and all the dirt out of the oil, circulates, it's kind of like a filter, and pours it in there. And then it's like, I think it's like every 10,000 miles, go ahead and, you know, open up the bottom of the catch can and pour it out, close the catch can, and it'll keep circulating and cleaning it up, right? That's one of the things that it does. Mine, you don't unscrew it. Mine has a little drain plug. You just turn the drain plug and it'll pour it all out, and put a pan down there in the bottom and you'll be fine. So I've done that before, and it was always empty, and I never knew why. But then I did notice that there would be like a little bit of a leak in that area, right? And then I tightened these up. The guy that did the install, he did a great job on the Supercharger, but he installed the catch can completely wrong, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. The catch can caused pressure in the motor, where what it's doing is it's pushing all the oil out. That's what it's doing. The catch can is pushing all the oil out. So I always try to find, where is that oil leak coming from? Because on that side of the engine block, that's where the oil leak is. On this side of the engine block, on the passenger side, it looks almost like brand new. Seriously, the only thing that looks like under there is just dirt because of time. But if you look at the block, the engine block looks like brand new under the car. But if you look on that side, it's covered in old oil. So when Tracy's seen it, he's like, you've been leaking the entire time because your catch can was installed completely wrong. So what that means is they usually do all these installs on Mustangs at this guy's shop, which they do an amazing job. You know, he's got a high reputation. The cars are taken to the drag strip and everything like that. That's why I took it to him. And he actually installed this in one day. But seems like what he failed to do was not read the instructions on how to install the catch can, because this hose right here is not supposed to have a valve. And if you guys don't know, this valve has, under it, there's an arrow that points either that way or that way, how it flows. It doesn't just flow back and forth, right? This is not even supposed to be here, this valve. This is supposed to be a free flow all the way to the back of the valve cover, and it connects right there, which it is connecting right there, but it's not supposed to have a valve. So that causes pressure as well. This one was installed correct, this valve, because it's pointing down that way, so the air flows a certain way. But then this hose right here, that goes all the way around the car, the block, and it's on the other side of the valve cover, that's not even supposed to be there. On that side, let me move my way, work my way on that side. On that side, what we found was over here in this little corner right there, if you guys can see it, that's where the hose is connected. That is for your vacuum, right? So there's supposed to be a vacuum cap right there. He plugged that hose from the catch can to that, so it's had a vacuum leak the entire time, and I didn't even know that, right? So with it having a vacuum leak, that means performance-wise, I wasn't getting the full potential performance that I should be having, because if anybody knows anything about a vacuum leak, those are not good, right? So you don't want anything to do with a leak, period. Boost leak, vacuum leak, oil leak, anything with a leak, you don't want to deal with that, right? So vacuum leak number 1, that was connected wrong. Number 2, the hoses were put in the wrong areas. Number 3, this right here is what popped off, because if the pressure is pushing against the car, the block, not sucking in all the oil, because it's supposed to be sucking in everything because of that catch can. That's the job of that catch can. But that catch can is doing the opposite right now, which is putting pressure inside the motor to push out all the oil outside of the block. So the engine block has seals all over the place, and it's pressuring all the oil to come out of the seals. That's why it's leaking on the block. It's coming out because it's pressuring it. So what Tracy said, which made a lot of sense, was, I hope you didn't damage all your internals of your seals because of all the pressure. And which made a lot of sense, because I've done burnouts, I've traveled and all that stuff. I don't know, the dude installed it completely wrong. You know, you guys all know I don't touch superchargers. Like, I'll work on the car and do my thing, but supercharger, I have no clue how to install, right? Either way, like I said, the guy did a great job installing the whole kit, but looks like he didn't read the instructions or that came with the Supercharger kit. They might have just looked at the papers like, yeah, I already got this, no worries. You know, they lined it up and did their thing. But it all makes sense because when he first installed that kit, there was air coming out of the dipstick and it sounded like it was whistling. I was like, what is that sound? And he's like, I don't know. I've never seen it do that before. So he unscrewed on this side. He unscrewed these 3 nuts right here on the catch can. He loosened them up and I'm like, isn't that supposed to be tight, bro? He's like, yeah, but it's causing it over there. So he's like, you just need to get a better catch can with a little filter on it. I'm like, dude, Tracy Lewis catch can is very well known. A lot of high horsepower vehicles use this guy's catch can, you know? So Tracy Lewis has the catch can, of course, but he also sells the Supercharger, and he's partners with Will, which Will is in Canada, and he has the Supercharger as well. They're partners. They both sell this kit, right? So either way, when you get this whole setup done, when you reach out to Will and you say, this is what I got, this is what's going on, they're both going to talk to you, which is awesome. But when I found out what I found out about that catch can, I tightened it up. That pressure was not there, and I tightened it up just like not even three weeks ago, a month ago with my dad. I tightened this thing up. I was like, I don't feel comfortable, it keeps leaking. But it would never catch any oil. So when I showed everything else to Tracy, he also mentioned because this cap popped off was because of all the pressure, because those were all connected wrong, because that one has a valve, because in the back of the vacuum cap right here, there's a hose connected to it that's going to the catch can. That's not supposed to have it connected there. If I'm not mistaken, Tracy will correct me if he sees this video, which I'm sure he will, and I hope he does because I want him to continue to guide me. If I'm not mistaken, there's supposed to be a hose that goes from here down to the bottom of the air intake. That's where that hose is supposed to go to. This hose that's linked right here is not supposed to go to this thing. This hose that's linked right here is supposed to go over there to that side. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong where it's this that's connected over here. I don't know. It was something like that. I was just very tired, but at the same time, I was excited that Tracy was looking at the car because the moment he saw it, he's like, look, that's the reason why you've had an oil leak the entire time was because that catch can was not installed correct. So it's telling all the oil to come out of the engine block instead of sucking it all inside the engine block and doing what it's supposed to be doing with the catch can. So I know I just talked you guys' ears out. So long story short, cross your fingers. Hopefully we didn't damage any internals like the pistons or anything like that. I did change the spark plugs. The engine was shaking when I had started it last week because the spark plug over there in the front on the passenger side had some oil on it, which makes sense because the whole catch can setup is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. We're going to rewire up and rehose everything the way it's supposed to be. And then hopefully, like Tracy said, Tracy's like, this is going to fix your oil leak. You're not going to have any oil leak because it's going to suck in all the oil instead of pushing it all out. So hopefully that fixed everything. And then that way we can start the car this week and try it and see what happens. And then we go from there. Wow, that was a lot of talking. That was 14 minutes on the dot right there. So now that you guys know what's going on with the car, that is my next step. My next step is to wait for the hoses to come in. We got new valves coming in. Those valves that are on there, even though I'm removing that, oh, there's one more piece that I forgot. Let me show you guys. Right here, this valve that is not supposed to be here, this connection right here is supposed to have a valve on it. So you're supposed to cut this right in the middle, and then you put a valve right here, which he's gonna send me. And this is not supposed to be having a valve. Plus, Tracy Lewis has newer design valves, so he's gonna send me that as well. Now that you guys see exactly what's going on with the car, make sure you install your catch can correct. You guys have no idea how much all these little things add up. If you guys remember, my air filter was completely clogged and it was cutting off the RPMs on the car. It was causing the supercharger tube that's connected inside the supercharger, causing it to flex in. I can't believe, I've never seen that before in my life. It was causing it to flex in, which makes sense because the air filter was clogged. So those little things, you want to make sure you're on top of that. So if you think a catch can that you bought for 120 bucks, 150 bucks, it's a simple little 45-minute job. You know, it's going to collect some of the carbs in the dirt and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. No, you have to make sure you connect it all correct, which a lot of the times, even if you're not supercharged, you know, you do the install and it's very straightforward and you connect it the right way and you should be fine. when you have a supercharger installed, you know, obviously there's a little bit more that goes into it, and you want to make sure all those hoses and lines are connected to the right area and the valves are pointing in the right direction, because it tells it only the arrow goes that way or the arrow goes that way. So that being said, as soon as the hoses come in, we're gonna go ahead and install them. We'll do a startup. I'll try to catch it all on camera. If I don't get a chance to catch that exact startup on camera, I am gonna start it up again. The car sent me a message on my phone. Shout out to Car Lock. Make sure you guys get your car lock set up. The car sent me a message while I was at work, and it said my battery voltage is at 12 right now, which 12 is like the bare minimum you want to be at. So I wish I could start the car. I can't put my trickle charger on the back because it's under my sound system, the battery. So I'm gonna ask and see if I can connect it up here somehow that'll give that some juice, which obviously I don't think that makes any sense. But there's gotta be a way. I gotta put my trickle charger on here. I don't want my battery to die because that's a brand new battery. Either way, I got warranty. If that does happen, it happens. The car was broken down. That's the only reason why that happened. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Oh, wait. I don't want to forget. If this is your first time on my page, be sure to give it a like. Be sure to leave a comment down below. And if it's your first time coming by on the page, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It helps out a lot. You know, I'm trying to grow the channel and deliver more content to you guys. So this year, hopefully, when we bring the ZL1 home, we're going to have all brand new content. And then with primetime, we're going to have all these big shows content to keep coming. So we're going to have one for shows. Even though it has performance, one's for shows. The other one's going to be mainly performance. So cross your fingers, you guys. I'm working hard 6 days a week. Super excited, but I promised you guys I'm going to bring you guys everything that I got. So we're going to do it just like that. Hey, Dilla, Priminator, out. Peace.
Listen.